Before this episode starts, be advised that the format will be a little different from our prior episodes. We had a technical error with my audio while filming our original episode, so for next week we will refilm our coverage of soon-to-be Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson. In the meantime, we didn't want to leave you with nothing. Since we fixed my audio for our Patreon after show about the Don't Say Gay bill, we've decided to release that bonus footage as our main show this week. What this means for you is a little more rawness from us. Less formal than our regular episode format because we normally like to cover a little saucier stuff for our Patreon. So if you're listening for the first time and a little unsure about a discussion of gender identity, sexuality, and the sexual spectrum, feel free to skip this episode, and we will be back with our regular episode format next week. Otherwise, settle in with a mixed drink and join us for a slightly more incendiary discussion than usual.
Hate it when it autocorrects something that like you actually wrote.
Yeah, like turning
annoying.
fuck to duck.
You know, so there's a way. So since I'm never in my life writing the word duck, I went into the keyboard settings and there's a thing called text replacement.
Right.
So I just replaced duck with fuck. So even if I'm trying to write duck, I'm gonna like to have to manually DUCK X. Because logically, what am I talking about? Ducks.
It drives me crazy. The autocorrect always.
You know what the worst
replaces fuck with
autocorrect
duck.
is, and I'm sure you've experienced this, right? If you were to start a text with the word "were," WERE, right? Like you'd say, were you supposed to call me at 9:00 or whatever, right? It would autocorrect that were
To we are.
to we are to
Yes,
where.
to where.
Like
Yes.
were is a word. Leave it.
I know.
Leave it.
I know.
Why are you fucking with this?
Well, the predictive text sometimes helps with that. So the more you type were, the more it's going to recognize that as an option.
Specifically when it's at the start of a sentence.
Yes.
Like, if it's in the middle, it's fine. But once it's at the beginning, it's like, I don't know. Did he mean we are? Like, we're meeting at 9?
It just assumes you're popular. All right, so now that my microphone is actually on.
Yeah. We're going to have to fucking jerry-rig that episode. It's such a beautiful episode. We talked about Ketanji Brown Jackson's Supreme Court nomination hearing. And it was so beautiful. We did a whole full circle thing like a Kevin Hart special where you come back to the beginning of the episode where his baby mama slapping him or some shit. Mm-hmm. And it was so great. And then we found out that Beth's mic wasn't recording. Yeah. And instead we recorded her system audio, which is just the hum of her CPU. So we're going to have to figure that out. So if that episode is terrible, that's what happened. In terms of audio. The video, we still gonna look good.
Yeah, of course. I am just doing a Snapchat here of us beginning this Patreon episode, and I'm going to put it on Instagram, so go check it out there.
Yeah, because, man, it was a really good episode, but now, like, all the audio is, like, on my mic. So
it's a good thing that we did move our mics closer together the last few weeks.
It's still
not close enough to get me because I do have a lower. I mean, I
we're
have
gonna
a very
have to get
soft
like a
voice.
boom mic from the friggin' ceiling coming down right here to where they can't see it to like right here, and then that'll solve any weirdo problems we might have.
Yep.
One day when we're rich enough and we have like a real studio.
You know, bougie shit.
So for Patreon, we're going to be talking about Florida's new law where when teachers are in school, they can't say the word gay. Or trans, or bi, or anything that's not binary.
Yes.
In terms of sexual orientation and or preference or whatever.
So it's called House Bill 1557. The official name of it is the Parental Rights in Education, which is laughable to me.
But the nickname, because the American standard for bills is to have it named one thing and have it nicknamed something else. Like the Affordable Care Act, Obamacare, the Right to Work Act. Fuck you, we can fire you whenever we feel like. You know? So this is called the Don't Say Gay Bill.
Yes.
But in House Bill 1557.
Parental Rights in Education.
Yeah, Parental Rights in Education.
So Representative Joe Harding was the sponsor of this bill, and he said in an interview, we want schools to focus on reading, writing, and math. We can't ban a discussion, and that's not what we're trying to do. Mm-hmm. Well, interestingly enough, the entire bill, which I read,
is about banning a discussion.
No, it's actually not about banning a discussion. The entire bill is about telling people what not to do and nothing about telling them what you want to do. There's nothing in there about reading, nothing about math, nothing about writing.
It's not like in math we should be doing this, in reading we should be reading this. It's like, listen, y'all do whatever the fuck you want, but not these things.
Right. And what it actually does say is it changed a little bit over time because of public pressure. Initially, it said that schools could not encourage discussion of sexual orientation or gender identity. That was then changed to say that you can't encourage instruction in the syllabus, which is referring to the lesson plans specifically. But the whole premise of this is, according to the sponsor of the bill, is to protect children from exposure to things that they deem inappropriate for that age range.
It's always the conservatives that's always trying to protect children.
It's about the babies.
Always trying to protect children. And then some story comes out every fucking week about one of them doing the opposite of protecting the children.
And this bill is the opposite too, because that very same person, Joe Harding, Representative Joe Harding, tried to remove an amendment to the bill. The amendment was addressing how teachers or the school administration are required to contact the parents if there has been a discussion of gender identity or sexual orientation in the classroom, or if one of these students engages in kind of behavior or discussion about those things. So the school is now required to contact the parent. There was a provision in the bill that said they would not contact the parent if there is reasonable belief that contacting the parent to tell them this would lead to abuse in the home. Representative Joe Harding wanted to remove that from the bill.
He was just he's like, fuck them kids.
Yes. So tell me again how conservative Republicans in Florida are concerned about protecting children, because he ain't it.
He's like, your kid is gay? Fuck them.
Fuck them. We're going to call their parents anyway.
And now we're going to out them.
Right.
It's going to be a huge deal.
Right.
It's going to be great. What a terrible person.
Absolutely.
Wow.
This whole bill is nonsense.
We definitely got to put this part on Instagram.
Yes. Let's talk about what teachers are focused on. Maslow's Hierarchy of Needs.
Ah, yes.
They are focused on making sure that the children in their classrooms, do they have food? Do they have shelter? Do they have the basic necessities? Do they have love? Do they have affection? And this is talking about affection from families. So do they have a mother? Do they have a father that's engaged? Are they safe? That's what teachers are focused on. So I talked to my husband about this, and he is a teacher. And I read the provisions of the bill to him, and he had a lot of things to say about this. Creating a new obligation to contact parents usually only happens if you have a need to share this information where information was not shared before. The fact that they're creating this obligation to notify parents either is breaking the protocol of only doing it about safety issues, or these Florida Republicans are actually saying that talking about gender is a safety issue for children. Tell me which one it is, because I'd really love to know. Contacting parents is only an obligation thus far in the majority of schools in the United States if there's a safety issue for the child. So are you telling me that gender identity is a safety issue?
No, but if you ask them, it is.
That's exactly my point.
Because it's detrimental to their moral upbringing.
Their own personal beliefs.
And there's nothing more important in life than your soul and where it's going when you die.
Right. Now let's talk about gender for inanimate objects.
Wait, what? like Spanish, like
No.
el burro? Oh, no.
No. If I were to...
Glasses case?
This is my glasses case. It's pink.
That's a boy glasses case.
Normally, people would say what? It's for boys or for girls? What would people normally say?
People would normally say it's for girls, but it's for glasses.
Yes, understood. But we're talking about the majority of people. If I hold up... I don't have anything blue around. Well, I do, but I don't want to hold that up. Okay, here we go. This is blue. This is pink. If little Johnny is in kindergarten, because this bill is supposed to prevent discussions of gender identity and sexual orientation between kindergarten and third grade. So little Johnny, he's in kindergarten.
In third grade, okay.
Little Johnny's in kindergarten. He begins to play with toys of this color. Do you think anybody's going to question whether or not he's engaging in gender identity by playing with a blue toy? Probably not. I would submit that it's normal. And I'm only using this term not speaking as an actual intellectual, but speaking as the average American parent. They're going to say it's normal for Johnny to play.
I would like to go on record and say that Beth just said that the average American is not an intellectual.
That's not what I meant.
But that's what she said.
That's what I said. That's not what I meant. I'm not approaching this from the academic standpoint, psychological academic standpoint.
She's not an academic elite.
Right, because colors are neutral. They are not engendered. We only engender them in our society through marketing.
Yep.
Yes, that's what I meant. I'm sorry if I offended somebody. I didn't mean it that way. But speaking from the average American standpoint, we would think that a boy playing with a blue toy doesn't raise any red flags. A boy playing with G.I. Joe, nobody's going to think twice about that. The boy picks up the pink Barbie. I would not think anything of that as a teacher, as a parent, as an average person. I wouldn't think anything of it. But if this bill in Florida is saying that children are not allowed to engage in anything related to gender identity or sexual orientation, I would think that the bill wouldn't give two shits about whether a boy picks up a pink Barbie. However, the language of the bill indicates that if a boy is playing with Barbies, they may be confused about their gender and they're engaged in behavior that is gender identity, and therefore they are obligated to contact the parents and out that child.
Can you imagine though? Because it says specifically up to third grade.
Right.
And it's like up to third grade. Third grade is like what? 9 years old?
Yeah.
9? Can you imagine like a teacher calling, so, Mrs. Miller, we had an incident today at school. I'm so sorry I call you about this, but Billy picked up a Barbie, and by law in the state of Florida, we have to call you to notify you that he picked up a Barbie dream car. Now, granted, he was racing it with the other Hot Wheels toys, but he picked it up. And so we just want to make you aware that he was engaging in playing with toys affirming or not affirming gender identity.
Right.
And so...
Because at that point, the teacher's not allowed to tell them. So let's say the parent does not want their child to be gay. And the parent has made it very clear.
You don't have a choice.
Right. They want control. They want control over their child's upbringing. And so the parent says, you have to let me know if anything happens with gender identity in the classroom. Well, little Timmy picking up a Barbie to play with, the teacher kind of is obligated to abide by the parent's rules now because the parents said that.
These little I came up with this law out of my fucking asshole laws are so dumb because they never ever sit down and think of the ramifications, but also the implementing of the law.
Right.
It goes back to when we were talking about the fucking Texas abortion bill.
Right.
And we sat here and we were like, we could make a business out of this.
Yes.
It was the first thing that came to my mind.
A business model.
Like I could make $50,000 a day. All I need to do is find 5 women who may or may not be having an abortion. Mm-hmm. And that was it. And like, I don't understand how when they're writing their bills, they just don't think that, hey, you know, people can camp out in front of an abortion clinic and make $50,000 a day doing this. Yeah. Maybe we shouldn't do this. Or maybe we should put in the bill that, hey, you can't do this. Right. Or whatever.
You can't stalk people trying to make money off of this.
So that's what my thing is like. And the bill can be endless. It can be a book if you want.
Right.
Why don't you write in there, hey, we're not going to call the parents for things like boy playing with Barbie dream car.
Right.
You could have put that in there.
Could have.
But like they're just like whatever. Like because it's all pandering. It's like I'm so anti-liberal and so anti-gay and so anti everything that and I want my name on this so that when you go to the booths you can remember that I was the one who made the bill where we call your house if your son plays with the Barbie.
Right. Exactly.
That's your contribution to society?
That's
what you want to be known as?
It's ridiculous. No, obviously I'm taking this to the extreme. I don't think anybody in their right mind would
is
say...
going to call for a Barbie.
No. But it does create liability for the teachers and the school. Because if some rootin' tootin' conservative dad does not want their son to be gay... And Johnny's been playing with Barbies in kindergarten all year long. And then a couple years later, the dad says, hey, my son's gay. You knew about this all along. Why didn't you tell me? Now there's because there was an obligation to talk about gender identity issues in the classroom.
Yeah.
And the teacher didn't call because they don't give a fuck. Now there's liability. And so this creates an open door for lawsuits for homophobic parents who can't get their shit together and love their children unconditionally. And now they're suing the school for not telling them that their son was gay.
Okay, so I have a little bit to say about this, but I'm gonna let you finish, Taylor.
Okay.
I'm gonna let you finish.
The thing about this bill is that the default position, the main assumption, is that parents don't want their kids to be gay, and they don't want their kids to know about gender identity or sexual orientation. So the reason I say that is because there was I looked at the bill, the different versions of it, and there were links on the Florida website where you could see the Appropriations Committee, the notes from their meetings. The Appropriations Committee notes said that the precursor to this bill is the 14th Amendment right to privacy and the Florida Parental Bill of Rights.
Florida has a parental bill of rights?
Yes. You're going to love this. You're going to love this.
Jesus, and I lived in that fucking state.
Parents have the right to control their child's upbringing. And the only reason that the privacy should be violated is if there's a state interest to withhold information from the parent. So what about the parents who actually want their kids to learn about gender identity and want their kids to learn about sexual orientation between kindergarten and 3rd grade?
Those parents are wackos.
They didn't account for that.
Weirdos. They are the minority. And in America, we don't give a fuck about minorities.
That's what it is. This bill was written with the assumption that 100% of parents want to prevent their children from hearing about this stuff.
Aye.
And so now if the school contacts, Jessica, the mom, and says, little Johnny was playing with Barbies, and Jessica's like, yeah, he plays with them at home. I want him to play with them. We're okay with that. We've talked about it at home. Stop calling me. The parent is now being harassed by the school Because the
What?
assumption is...
And you know some fat Karen is going to be on the phone going, well, why do you want him to be gay?
Right, exactly. The default position is that parents don't want their kids to know about this. There's a problem in our society if we think that children are of age to hear about virgin birth and immaculate conception, but they're not of age to hear about there's a spectrum of sexuality and gender identity is non-binary.
Okay, I just want to say, as a person with a number of kids, I don't want to say a lot because it's gonna sound like I'm out here fucking everybody, and I'm not. But I got more than 2 kids, and less than 4. So, if I had to choose between my kids being like average, regular, run-of-the-mill, straight, live and die that way, or gay as fuck with Jeff Bezos money,
You wouldn't even... Yeah.
guess which one I'm gonna pick.
Of course.
I want my children to be happy.
Why can't they be both?
Happy and rich as fuck.
Why can't-
Not straight and whatever else.
Right.
Happy and rich as fuck. Happy and rich as fuck.
Yes.
Like, no, here's my thing. Like, and I'm gonna say this on record. Like, I don't want you to struggle in life.
No.
If you turn out to be of a different sexual orientation than the norm, that is straight, whatever, right? I don't want you to be that and broke.
Right.
You gotta pick a struggle, homie. You can't you can't be gay and broke. Cause you gonna get shit on for being gay and you gonna get shit on for being broke. If you gonna be gay, please also be rich. Just, that's where I'm at. Just please also be rich. Be a fucking fashion designer, like own YSL. Yes. Right? Now I'm not saying don't be gay. Be whatever the fuck you want. But also be rich. Now, if you're gonna be straight, then who gives a fuck? Because you're gonna be fine either way. Because it's easier. Because it's not easier to be gay. It's not easier to be anything that's not normal in America.
Exactly. Mainstream is what sells.
And that's the thing too. Like when people are just like, it's an argument that I've heard all the time. It's like, do you think people would choose to have a more difficult life? You think people choose to be gay? I really don't. Not. I have gay friends, gay family members. I'm not out any of y'all, so chill the fuck out. I know y'all gonna come for me. You know, and it's like, no, of course, no one would choose to have a more difficult life. No. This is not a something that somebody would look at and go, I want to be that, and I want to be ostracized, and I want to be not given a job or denied an apartment or whatever. So, but I'm saying, if you're going to struggle with all of those things, be rich as fuck so you don't have to struggle with all of those things. Please. Don't add struggles to your life. That's all I'm saying.
So let me just break this down into the most basic of elements. I want to see an America where parents are not so obsessed with the sexual preferences of their own children.
That's weird.
Isn't it?
Yes.
Isn't it?
And it's the motherfuckers who's always protecting children who want to know how their children are fucking.
Yes, exactly. Can we get to a point where
I don't want to know.
I don't care who you're fucking.
Bring your significant other to Thanksgiving and shut the fuck up about whoever you're fucking. Yes. Please. Like, I don't want to know.
Because a child's value does not change based on who they're sleeping with and who they're attracted to. And we can even talk about the difference between attraction versus the behavior. So if I'm attracted to, okay, let me just break this down. I'm gonna get real. I have attraction to both men and women, but I have never acted upon the attraction to women. I have only ever acted upon my attraction to men. So there is a difference between the behavior and the attraction. I can't control who I'm attracted to. I really can't.
I see.
I choose because my attraction to men is far greater than my attraction to women.
Okay. It's a spectrum.
So, it's a spectrum, 100%. Okay. So have I ever told my parents this? No, because it's none of their fucking business.
You're going to put this on the internet.
Of course I am.
They gonna see this shit.
I don't care because it's none of their fucking business. But they don't love me any less because they assume I'm attracted. They assume who I'm attracted to, and so if they were to learn that my attraction to women is there, I've never acted upon it, but it's there. Are they gonna love me any less? I would sure as fuck hope not, because it doesn't fucking matter.
You hope. My mother would love me a little less.
Why? But that's my point. Why? They assume things about me and they love me unconditionally. The fact that I would correct their assumptions and say it's actually different, why should that change their level of love?
Because it changes their reality. And that's
it's about them. That's
about
exactly
them.
what it is. They make it about
reality.
themselves.
It doesn't change your reality.
It doesn't change my reality. It changes their reality. So this is an issue with people and their own fucking egos.
Okay, well, I just want to say I am not attracted to men at all. And funny enough, I've had this conversation this week where it's many times in many different areas and parts of my life, people assume that I am, or because men are attracted to me.
Sure.
Whatever, because I take care of myself and I shower before I go out. I don't know. It's kind of weird. Like people, like men buy me drinks when I go out just randomly. It's weird. It's
free drinks.
Free drinks? What?
Yeah.
It's this. I scoffed at you. No. You see, like when a random man buys you a drink and you're thinking the first thing you think is there a roofie in this?
Right.
It's the same fucking thing I think. Are you? I don't think any different. That's the same goddamn thing I think. Nope. And I clench a little bit. Like nope. No.
Say less. Say less. I get it.
No. I'm sending it back. Thank you. Appreciate the gesture, but no, I'm good. With that, I just want to make it clear. I'm not attracted to men, looks or whatever. Mm-hmm. But I had a conversation with a dear friend of mine this week. Prince is a beautiful man. Was a beautiful man.
Yes.
That motherfucker could dress.
Yes.
His hair was on point.
Yes.
I don't want to make out with the dude.
No.
I want to be friends with him so we can get more women together. You know what I mean? Because the dude was flying.
Yes.
I was saying to my friend, I was saying to her this week, I was just like, if you could like change anything about Prince to like make him better, make him more attractive, more beautiful, what would you do?
Nothing.
Not a fucking thing. So I would be an idiot to sit here and be like, oh, Prince isn't attractive. No, Prince is attractive as fuck. Yeah. I'm not attracted to him. I can point out that the man is, but he had the meanest loafers, boy.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Like I wish I could dress like that, but I don't got the money or the time.
Of course.
But the man, and so that's one man out of 4 billion. So,
yes.
That's not my thing.
But that's the thing, is that there is a difference between finding a person attractive and being attracted to them sexually.
Yeah. I don't want to bang Prince.
No, there's a difference.
Blouses.
And this is the conversation. This is why it is important to have these conversations with people of all ages. Because if in the absence of information, there's confusion and there are assumptions and there's a whole lot of tomfoolery going on. Children are going to be curious about things. So the fact that here's what really bothers me. I'm going to see if I can find my notes because I really want to make sure that I hit the right points. I had to write these things down because I don't have children, but I'm often very pissed off at people who raise children that seem to confuse what it means to have children in school. Line 73 of the bill, I will put it here on the screen for us. Line 73 talks about parents being able to control their children's upbringing. Parents already have that
overwhelming control.
Because the majority of time that children spend is not in the classroom. It is with you, the parent. And I feel like there's this dichotomy happening here. There are certain parents in this country that are opting out of responsibility of teaching their children anything. So when it comes to, this kind of happened during the pandemic where it became very glaringly obvious that parents were saying they wanted control over their children's destiny. They wanted control over their children's upbringing. You fucking have that. The fact that your child is in a classroom and wears a mask doesn't relinquish your control as a parent.
Mm-hmm.
So it's almost like they're saying that the teachers need to be more involved in children's lives, but the parents that own their parenthood, the parents that own the fact that they get the majority of time with their children, they are responsible for raising their children. I'm good with them. They get it. You have children, you're responsible for raising them.
Yeah.
And that means 24/7. But there are some parents who think that because their children go to public school, that parent needs to fight with the administration to teach their children in the classroom exactly what they would be taught at home. That is relinquishing control of your parenthood to the school in a backdoor way of saying that you don't think that education happens outside of the classroom.
For one, I'm a person who taught for 13 years at various levels, K through university.
Mm-hmm.
And as a person who was a student myself, so I've been on both sides of the desk. I would like to say that I am so happy that my parents had no say in what I learned in school.
Right.
Because my God, like the difference between how I was raised and like what I think now based on not just school education but life education.
Right.
I appreciate the life education that I got that I would be sheltered from if my parents had their way.
Exactly.
You know, and like that's not cool. Let me quote something for you. And I'm sure you've seen this somewhere, probably on memes or whatever, but there was an actual poll done in the United States.
Okay.
And I don't know if it was like a journalistic or a scientific poll or whatever, but a vast number of people were asked. And close to 70% of the people responded. The question was, should Arabic numerals be taught to children in school?
Yes.
And in America, majority of the people asked who are parents were just like, absolutely fucking not. We do not want them fucking Arabic or Muslim shit taught to our kids and whatever this jihadi fuckery. We're not with that.
They're morons.
And the memes that came out of that were just fucking numerous. Because we get counting and numerals and arithmetic from Arabic people.
Yes.
They invented mathematics. They invented numbers and numerals and gave it to the world. So if we are not using Arabic numerals, we're not using anything.
Right.
But majority of the parents asked in America here were just like, no, I don't want Arabic numerals. It's like, okay, well, what's the other option? Roman numerals? Would you want them to learn V and X and I and C?
I learned that
M?
shit. I'm grateful that I learned that shit.
I learned that shit and I forgot everything.
Hard.
I forgot all of it. You give me MCV, I, and I couldn't tell you what the fuck that is. You know, I don't know why they write the Super Bowl letters, numbers. Anyways, the point is, if you allow parents to decide what children should be taught and not letting educators decide what children should be taught,
the actual professionals,
they gonna turn into their parents.
Yes.
Which you were just quoting as fucking morons.
Yes. That's the thing.
Because as I said before, if we let with the and this don't say gay bill, if like, can you imagine if Florida parents were allowed to say, hey, you can't teach Arabic numerals in the school?
You know what?
Then we're going to be doing Roman numerals.
It's probably going to happen someday because they're just that dumb.
Florida people doing Florida things. Florida.
So I want to just spend an extra minute on that thing about if you have children, you have the majority of time to teach your children. And it is your responsibility as parents to raise your children. It's one thing to birth children. It's another thing to raise them.
It's harder.
It is very hard. It's much
longer too.
Yes. And it's a lifelong commitment. It doesn't just happen until they're 18.
The birthing happens in the day. Yeah. The rest of it is
It's a lifelong
years.
commitment. It's a lifelong commitment because your children never stop actually needing something from you. Even if they're living apart from you. Well, no. Even if they're living apart from you, even if they have responsibility for their own pocketbook, their own house, their own everything, there's still an emotional need that they have from you as parents. So you are responsible for raising your children. And that doesn't just, it's not just the responsibility of the school system to teach your children. Do you think that children don't learn from you when they're just watching you? Do you think that if you drink a bottle of tequila every night that your child's not going to learn something from that? If you really think that your children don't learn from you when they're sitting next to you on the couch watching television, they're learning
how you react to commercials, how you like, the whole children live what they learn. That whole point. If children learn to be, self-sufficient, they learn to be sacrificial, etc., etc. And it's a lot of the education that they get in school is books and discussions and arithmetic and history and whatever. But the life stuff, the stuff that'll help them to navigate relationships and business and partnerships and whatever, they learn from you.
Yes.
And to be honest, in this world, on this planet, that education can take them further.
Yes, 100%.
It's about who you are and who you know and your relationship with people that can get you the furthest than just what you know.
Right. It's not like children are going to hear about sexual orientation in the classroom and then suddenly decide that they want to become gay.
You know what? Gay sounds cool.
Right.
I'm in.
People can't control who they're attracted to, which is why I shared that earlier, that I have an attraction to women. It's far less than my attraction to men. I can't help that. Does that mean that I'm gay? I don't know. It's a spectrum. I haven't really thought about it.
I don't think it matters.
It doesn't matter, and that's exactly the point. It doesn't matter because
it only matters to the people who you are interacting with in that capacity.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
So it's not like I just happened to hear somebody say something one day that made me think, I'm going to try being attracted to women. No, it's there. It's not something I control. It's not something that I just learned in a fucking classroom one day.
And Prince is dead, so I am attracted. I find 0 men attractive. God rest his soul. Fucking beautiful motherfucker.
Yes.
He's a badass too.
Yeah. So education does not just happen in the classroom. So this bill is going to go, it's going to do nothing. It's going to do absolutely nothing.
You think it's going to stay or is going to get struck down by
No, it's going to stay because there's really no consequence to it. What's going to happen is that teachers are not going to call parents. They're not going to say anything because when they see Johnny playing with a Barbie, they're going to be like, whatever.
Johnny plays the Barbies, man. I got time for this shit.
Yes, exactly. Because teachers, again, they're looking at Maslow's hierarchy of needs. They're not thinking about the engendered nature of toys. That's what marketing is for.
Yeah.
The only reason we see a blue thing and think it's for boys is because marketing told us to think that way. There's nothing engendered about toys. There's nothing engendered about colors. It's inherently neutral. So this bill is not going to force teachers to suddenly believe that playing with certain toys means it's gender identity. However, the only thing that could come out of this is what I mentioned earlier. It creates an obligation for teachers to say something. The only people who are going to care are the homophobic parents who are going to be pissed off they didn't know earlier that the child was gay. So they're going to try to take out their aggression on the teachers.
They're going to send that kid to gay camp. They're going to pray away the gay.
Yeah.
One of my kids ever came to me and was just like, Dad, I'm gay. I'm like, okay, that's cool. Now, how can we make your life easier?
Yes.
Because, and by easier, I mean richer, because that's going to make it easier. I promise you would rather be crying in a Bentley than in a Toyota.
Ugh.
Trust me on this. So, what do we have to do?
Probably.
What do we have to do?
Yes.
Jesus.
All right, so that's the pray away the, or no, not pray away the gay. Don't say gay, Bill. Now you are informed.
Yeah.
All right. We'll catch you next time.
Bye. Prince is hot. I don't like men.
Yeah. No, Prince is very hot.